dear students.
So today we will describe about process to process delivery. Okay, so this is the starting of network layer. This is the starting of transport layer. So here transport layer, all of you know that transport layer is after network layer. We need transport layer to transfer any data from sender to receiver. So here we have process to process delivery. In transport layer we need to we need to communicate through the process. Okay, so the process of sender machine need to communicate with the process of destination machine. So here the transport layer is responsible for process to process delivery, and the delivery of a packet, that is the part of a message that it can be message can be passed from one process to another, and two processes communicate in a client server relationship. Okay, so there is a client server relationship is there in transport layer. So here we will discuss about client server paradigm and multiplexing and demultiplexing, connectionless versus connection oriented service, reliable versus unreliable, and there are different protocols. So at first transport layer is responsible for what? This layer is responsible for process to process delivery. Okay, so this is the figure. Here you can see that type of data delivers, that is here we have one process, and there in the destination we have different processes are there, and we need to communicate with this. So in data link layer we have node to node communications, in the network layer we have host to host communications, and in transport layer we have process to process communication. Okay, so remember it. Now we have so when we need to communicate through via process to process, so then we need a port number. Okay, so the port number must be there. So see, this is the client and this is the server. So here this is the port number is 13. So the client is communicate with this port of the server. Okay, so this is the connection. So port number, that means we need a physical communications, and this port is actually responsible. This port is actually as an interface. Okay, without port number we can't communicate with the processes. So port number must be there. So this is the IP addresses versus port number. So here you can see that port numbers is select the process. So this when we want to select any process of any host machine, so we need a port number, and IP address is for what? IP address is for to select the host. Okay, IP address is for select the host, and port number is select the process. Okay, so remember it. So port number is responsible to communicate via this process to process delivery. So in transport layer the port number is must. Okay, this is a mandatory number, we need this number. So now this we have a socket address here. So IP address is this, and this is the port number. The port number is 69, and the port address, or this is the socket address. Okay, so the socket address is there. As we have a port address and socket address, both should be there to communicate via to communicate through the process. Now we have this multiplexing and demultiplexing thing. So here you can see the different processes are multiplexed, and we can get the IP address. So IP address for a host, and there are different processes. So when we are saying that IP address of this particular machine, that means there may be different processes are there, and that processes are multiplexed there. So from the IP address, when we generate the different processes, means IP address, and there is a demultiplexer, and demultiplex can generate different processes. So see, this is the error control. So here in transport layer also we can do the error control. So here this line, that is, so error is checked. Here we can see that error is checked in this paths by the data link layer. So error is controlled by this, data link layer is controlled this, and here this network layer and transport layer, error is not checked in this paths by the data link layer. So here this errors can be checked by the transport layer, and network transport layer can do that, and data link layer we can also this error corrections, we need error checking is there. So see, this is the LAN, and these different type of communications we can have. Okay, so different type of communications, that means different type of LAN can be there. It can be WAN, MAN, LAN, different type of LANs WAN can be there, and they are connected with the router, and we can communicate via this. So these 4 layers. These are particularly very important layer, that is physical, data link, network and transport, and after that we have applications layer through which the user can communicate with the network. So applications is after that. So this is the whole picture how we can do the whole thing. So here this is the error control, the figure of error control. You can see that is the pink line. This is for data link. This error is checked in this paths by the data link layer. Okay, now this is the position of UDP, TCP and SCTP and TCP IP. So here we have the transport layer. So after network layer, the next upper layer is the transport layer, or we have different types of protocol. So TCP and UDP, mainly we need to study this TCP, transmission control protocol, and user datagram protocol. Okay, so user datagram protocol, UDP. So what is this? This user datagram protocol, this is called connectionless. Okay, so UDP is a connectionless unreliable transport protocol. So this term is very important. This is connectionless, and so you can have the difference between TCP and UDP. So TCP is actually connection oriented, but UDP, user datagram protocol, this is a connectionless. Okay, so here we have unreliable transport. This is a unreliable transport protocol. So why it is unreliable? Unreliable means we can't the sender when sending any data, so sender cannot get any acknowledgement for the other end, as because this is connectionless. So there is no procedure to know that whether the packet is actually received by the receiver properly or not. Okay, so this is that's why this is unreliable. Okay, so UDP is unreliable. So it does not add anything to the services of IP except to provide process-to-process communications instead of host-to-host communications. So in UDP we have also it add with the IP internet protocol, it can provide the services of process-to-process delivery. Okay, so here this is the different well-known ports used with UDP. So we have different port number. That is 7, this is for echo, that is echoes received datagram back to the sender, and 9, port number 9 is responsible for that to discard any datagram that is received. Port number 11, this is for users, this is for active users, and 13, this is for date and time. Okay, so this is daytime. This protocol is, this port number is responsible to return the date and time, and quote returns the quote of the day. So this type of different things are there. So see, we have the port number 67, 68. So this is the booting protocols, that is the server port to download bootstrap information, and this is the client bootstrap information. So client port to download the bootstrap information. Okay, so these are the different types of port. So now this is the format of user datagram format. So here you can see this is the header and this is the data part. So header part, in header part we have a source port number, destination port number. Okay, so these numbers are 16 bits, and there is total length should be there, and destination and the checksum. For any error corrections we need the checksum. Okay, so source port number, destination port number, total length and checksum. So these are all present inside the header. So user datagram consists this header and data. So here you can see the user datagram protocol length is IP length minus IP headers length. Okay, so IP, the total IP address, the length of the IP length, this is 32 bit, and the header length is 16 bit, that 8 bits. So we have 32 minus 8, that is 24 bits, the UDP length. Okay, datagram length. So this is the pseudo holder for checksum calculations. Here you can see this is our header, and here we have pseudo header, that is we have 32 bit source IP address, 32 bit destination IP address, and here it can be all zeros, and there are 8 bit protocols or 16 bit UDP length. Okay, so these headers can be there. That is the pseudo header for checksum calculations, for error calculation. Okay, So here we can have, see, this is the padding must be added to make the data a multiple of 16 bits. So if a data is 16 bits length, so if we have multiple data, so there must be a padding between this data slot. Okay, so padding must be added to make the data a multiple of 16 bits. So now we have TCP. TCP is a connection oriented protocol. So transmission control protocol, this is a connection oriented protocol. It creates a virtual connection between two TCPs to send data. Okay, so here TCP uses flow and error control mechanism at the transport layer. So here also we have a error control and flow control mechanism. So here these are the different well-known ports used by TCP, and this is the description. So this is important, that is 20, port number 20, this is for file transfer protocol, that is file transfer protocol data connections. At 21, this is FTP control, that is file transfer protocol control connection. Okay, and telnet, for telnet, that is terminal network, this is for port number 23, we need this. For simple mail transfer protocol, we have the port number 25. So this port number is very important. And domain name space, DNS, for DNS we need the port number 53. Okay, so this is for domain name server. So this is the stream delivery, where we have a sending process and receiving process. So sending process, that means the connections is TCP. There are in these both processes have the transmission control protocol, and they can send the data. So stream of bytes can be sent from one process to another. Okay, so this is the sending and receiving buffer. So here sending process, so the byte to byte data can be sent. Okay, and data can be stored here also. So and this is the TCP segment. So here we can have different segmentations, that means the whole data can be segmented here. And see, this is the different segment. Suppose we have segment 1 to n, so segment 1 and segment 2, so this segments can be sent one by one. Okay, so the bytes of data being transferred in each connections are numbered by TCP. The numbering starts with a randomly generated number. So we can have different segments, and the segments can sense from one process to another, and the sequentially we can send the data. Okay. So these are the following, shows the sequence number for each segment. So suppose this, if the sequence number is this, and for segment 1 we have the sequence number from this to this, and for segment 2 we need to start from the next, that is 11,001 to 12,000. In this way we can provide the segment number. So whole data can be segmented in this way. TCP is a connection oriented protocol. Okay, and we create the virtual connections between two devices, and here we have different control mechanism. So here you can see these are the different port numbers, and these are the protocols, and these are the descriptions. So these are the important port number, that is port number 20, 21, 23, SMTP, 25. So these are the important port numbers. So here you can see that port number 20, for 20, this is for, oh acha আমি তো প্রিন্ট স্কেয়ারই করলাম না আরেকবার. Okay, so these are the important port numbers. So port number 20, this is for file transfer protocol, and 21, this is for FTP control, that is file transfer protocol for control connection, and port number 23, this is for protocol telnet, this is for terminal network. So these are the some port numbers. What is important, that is SMTP, that is simple mail transfer protocol. This is used the port number 25. Okay, for booting purpose, bootstrap protocol, the port number is 67. And another thing, that when we are actually communicating with the internet, so we need the hypertext transfer protocol, so the port number is 80. Okay, so remember it, port number 80 is responsible for that. So this is the stream delivery. So here you can see the sending process, and this is the receiving process. So we can send the data. So this is the stream of bytes. The data can be sent byte by byte. Data can send from one process to another. So So this is the sending and receiving buffer. So here you can see the sending process, and this is our TCP. So see, this is the buffer. So here you have to write down the data in a byte to byte. So see, this is the colored ash color. This is the data is already sent, and this is not sent. And when this data is sent to this receiver, then some data, so these data are received, and this is next byte to read. So these are the bytes what we need to read. This is so that means when the data, when the bytes are sent to the receiver end, so that must be stored inside a buffer, and if the process is busy to do some different thing, then that data need to wait inside the buffer. Okay, so this is the sending and receiving buffer is responsible to store the data for some time, okay, before processing actually. So this is the TCP segment. So in TCP transmission control protocol, we need to divide the whole data into different segments. So these are the different segments, and this data can be sent here, and there is also you can see the same thing, and only thing is the whole data can be divided into different segments. Okay, and there must be the sequence number, otherwise the segment can be lost. We can sequentially send the segments one by one if we have a sequence number. Okay, so sequence number also very important here. So the byte of data being transferred in each connection are numbered by TCP, and the numbering starts with a randomly generated number. Okay, so we can have some random numbers, and the bytes of data being transferred in each connections, which is numbered by TCP. So when the data is passing through this connection, so that data must be numbered by the TCP. The protocol can be numbered them, and it can be some random number. Okay, so suppose this is the sequence number for segment 1, segment 2. These we have 5 segments, and see, these are the sequence number. Suppose for 10,001, so the range is 10,001 to 11,000. This is for segment 1, and in the next segment we need to start from the next sequence number, that is 11,001 to 12,000. Okay, so in this way so this number is random number. This is given by TCP, and you have to maintain the sequence. So the value of the sequence number field of a segment defines the number of the first data byte contained in the segment. So sequence number field contain the first byte, that is 10,001. So it contains 10,001. This is the sequence number, and the range is 11,000. So the next number is 11,001. So the sequence number indicates the first byte of the segment. Okay. So the value of the acknowledgement field in the segment defines the number of the next byte party expects to receive, and the acknowledgement number is cumulative.